like blades, yeah. Soft.
Hey y'all, hey, welcome to 2D Talk Sense. Now, today's gonna only be one subject. I was watching the Don Lemon show and he gave an update about Renee Good that is now being reported that she could have lived had the ICE agents first rendered care or allow a physician. There was a doctor who was on the scene when Renee Good was got shot by the ICE agent, who told them, "I am a physician. Let me help." And they told him no, because we have our own people on the way, like an ambulance on the way. Now, it's been reported that the ambulance didn't get there until about 8 to 10 minutes after the shooting because of them blocking traffic and things of that nature. So, come on, y'all, let's discuss that. So, I'm going to read y'all the article, then I'm going to show you what Don Lemon said about it, because he also had a physician on who talked about it and how essential it is to render care, and how I want to say 10% for every minute that care is not rendered, your chances of survival go down 10%. But we're gonna discuss all that. But first, let me pull up this article to read this article, because like I try to go find a source once I decide on a topic that we're going to talk about. I try to go find some information about it, because I feel like we could get educated together. I don't know no more than y'all, and there's some of y'all out there who know more than me. Okay, so that's why I'm always open to drop down in the comments and let me know what you think, and let me know what you know, and we just sharing what we know respectfully. Okay, I believe 2 videos on this already. I did a video previous when it first happened, with the man who was on the live by ICE out here in Illinois, in the western suburbs of Franklin Park. I believe that the other person who was on the live by ICE, I have not done a video about that. I believe that happened when everything was going on with my daughter. There was about some weeks that I didn't cut on TV, nothing, because, prime focus was getting my daughter right. So hopefully I'll come back and I have time to report on that, because that was a Black man and I do not want to leave his story out of this. And I have to stop saying I know that. So come on, y'all, let's discuss this. I'm gonna go over this article with y'all, and y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me make sure that I am sharing it with y'all. And I know y'all can't see it, but I always like to put it up there just to assure you I'm taking it from a source. This is not just me talking. Now I will just talk and get my opinion, okay? But as of now, this is taken from a source of CNN. 911 transcript and an incident report reveal where Renee Good was shot and how her community faced a killing in real time. After Renee Good was shot last week by a federal immigration officer in Minneapolis, the mother of 3 was unresponsive, not breathing, with inconsistent, irregular, thready pulse activity. But let me say this. So I believe I had the video where I showed y'all the last update, which I believe is the last video that I did concerning Renee, that it was actually the ICE officer who did the shooting. It was his cell phone. So I don't know what law enforcement agent is having a phone in one hand and a firearm in another, but that's what he did. So he released this video, and in my opinion, I think he released it to get his people, which is MAGA, to me is MAGA, to get the MAGA people on his side, because they was initially, I want to say about 45 minutes after the unaliving, Chrissy Noam came up on TV, was saying she a domestic terrorist. I know JD Vance said it, Donald Trump said it. Then they started using, she likes to go by the pronoun she, her, because a big part of that base has a problem with the LGBTQ community. And I feel like they was, that was the little dog whistling that they was doing too, because initially it was reported. And when I say to me, these are the reports that I seen. Initially, it was reported that she was a mother, and the son had she had a young son, and the son had just lost his father, and now they done made an orphan out this 6-year-old little boy. So then the right was like, MAGA was like, nah, we ain't finna have this out here. Like, we just killed the mother. They need to know that she was a lesbian, because if you devalue a person, then you're not gonna empathize. You're not gonna feel sympathy, and you're not gonna see the wrong that's done. Because yes, even she was a lesbian, but that shouldn't matter. But to some people, it do. So then I feel like part of the reason was for releasing that video was to show the woman who she's with, who was being reported as her wife, and because she was very masculine presenting woman. And I believe that was part of the reason why it was showing it. And I said then that it seems like that officer got mad because that woman said something to him, her wife, and she said something along the lines of "Go get lunch, big boy," something like that. Is what she said to him. In the end of that video that he recorded on his phone, after he discharged his firearm 3 times, and it hit the lady 3 times. Comes to find out, then he say right after that, he called her F and B. So I'm like, this don't look good at all. But what I noticed on the news when I went back to try to get the clip of it, now maybe in my old video, but I wanted to show y'all in this one. When I went back, a lot of the news cuts it. They cut that part out. They don't show you the part where he's saying F and B. You have to watch certain news station in order to get that part. So be aware of that. And I was initially thinking, that's why I stopped. I was initially thinking that she was, because I believe the reports were saying she was shot 3 times, and I thought it was 3 times in the head. So when they was telling people, when it came out that the ambulance didn't come to 10 minutes, and you could see the guy who did the shooting, he walk up to the car, then he walk away. You don't see the ICE agent run into the car to administer CPR or anything. So I assume that she instantly passed away. That's what I assume. I like she must have instantly passed away. The way they're trying to first keep the crowd away, so because of course you don't want them recording to record those details, to record that gruesome scene and put it out there so everybody could see. But not because you care, but because it also reflects badly on you, especially to see that there's no weapons or anything in the car. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they said she had a dog in the car, but whether she did or didn't, um, I immediately thought that the lady passed instantly, because you didn't see anybody rendering help. You didn't see anybody administering CPR. It reminds me of the Sonya Massey in Springfield, the one who told him, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," and he shot her. And he said, "I'm gonna shoot you in your fucking face," and he shot her in her face. Black lady, Springfield, Illinois, and I believe I think he's still on trial. I had to check and give y'all an update on that case, but and when his partner, because his partner didn't agree with the way he handled it, and his partner went to go run outside to grab his bag, he like, no, ain't no point. That's a face shot. She gone. And you can clearly hear that his partner was over there trying to administer CPR. You can clearly hear the lady's last breaths, her gargling, which I assume sound like gargling blood or something. You can clearly hear it. So that's my initial thought, was that Renee passed instantly, because there was it's the videos I seen, I didn't see anybody trying to administer CPR, trying to administer help. Come and find out she did not. They said 8 minutes later, she still had a pulse. And I'm gonna read the article. I believe she wasn't, it was one, she got shot once in the chest, once in the forearm, and I think the third one was but of course I don't know the sequence of where they landed, but the third one may have been the head, but the way it sounded like it could have been a possible, I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait till more reports come out. Yeah, I'm gonna read it and y'all let me know what y'all think about it. So I'm gonna start over. After Renee was shot last week by a federal immigration officer in Minneapolis, the mother of 3 was unresponsive, not breathing, with inconsistent irregular, thready post activity. An incident report from the fire department says, I saw an ICE agent, they don't even say ICE agent. I saw an ICE officer fire 2 shots through her windshield into the driver. A caller to 911 reported. Soon after, the Immigration and Custom Enforcement agent shot Good, according to scores of emergency call transcripts CNN also got from Minneapolis officials. She tried to drive away, but crashed into the nearest vehicle that was parked, the caller said. I saw blood all over the driver, then the partner who was trying to provide assistance. Good, whose killing has sparked days of protest in Minneapolis and far beyond against the White House nationwide immigration enforcement crackdown, had blood on her face and torso when an emergency responder found her in the driver's seat of her SUV minutes after the January 7th shooting, the incident report says. The 37-year-old had 2 apparent gunshot wounds to her right chest and 1 apparent gunshot wound to her left forearm and a possible gunshot wound on the left side of her head, according to the reports. So while watching the video, you hear 3 clear. And I think it was been reported that it was 3. And that's why I assumed that they was instant to the face and she instantly passed away. But this is saying that 1 was to the chest, well, 2 was to the chest, and 1 was to the left forearm, and it was a possible 1 on the left side of her head. That's why I'm like, was it a graze? Was it a, because they say impossible? So I'm assuming they're gonna have to do an autopsy because it probably was so much blood that, especially if it's her forearm, I'm assuming left forearm. I'm assuming she's right-handed and he's shooting, she's putting up to block. And I'm assuming that's how that happened. Or the wheel in the front and 1 came in and, shot in the forearm. But no, the forearm is here. So I'm assuming that that's possibly what happened. I'm not uh, a forensic scientist. I ain't work for CSI, nothing like that. I'm just reading this article, man. Y'all trying to make sense of it as we go. But I'm like, for a possible gunshot wound, it probably was so much blood, and maybe they didn't see an entrance and exit, and they will have to wait on the autopsy to see if it was just a bullet graze, or it was actually, shot in the head. And I'm like, I would assume you would see a hole and things of that nature, but I don't know. That one is a little odd, because if it's the chest, and if you would have administered the chest and the forearm, and I'm thinking that depending, of course, if it's the heart, then that's different. But if it's the chest and you would have administered aid, it's possible that's why some of the headlines are saying it's possible that she could have lived. So let me continue. So the wound on her head, according to a report, which also says Good was found with no pulse and given chest compressions and other measures to try to resuscitate her. President Trump, Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and other federal officials have accused Good of trying to use her vehicle to kill or harm ICE agent in what Noem called an act of domestic terrorism. Another call to 911 came from a man who said he was calling on behalf of federal Homeland Security officer on the scene, according to the transcript. We have officers stuck in a vehicle, and we have agitators on scene, and we have shots fired by our locals, he said, requesting emergency service and local law enforcement. He did not have a description of the shooter and was getting his information from a local joint operation command center, he said. She's effing dead. They effing shot her, another caller told 911 agents, who assured help was on the way. There's 15 ICE agents, and they shot her because she wouldn't open her car door. While Good was in her Honda Pilot, someone asked ICE officer if he would check her pulse. Bystander video showed. No, back up now. as officers shouted. "I'm a physician," the man said, his hands in the air. "Can I check a pulse?" The officer agent, the ICE agent said, "No, back up now." The doctor, "I'm a physician." The ICE agent said, "I don't care." At the initial assessment, rescuers moved Good down the block for a more workable scene, better accesses for ambulance, and separation from an escalating scene involving law enforcement and bystanders. The incident report said Good was taken into a hospital where she died. Now I'm gonna show y'all the report from Don Lemon, his video, and in there he was saying that it's reports that are saying that she was alive, that she had a pulse at the 8-minute mark. She still had a pulse. So let's go through that. Let me watch that. And this is from Don Lemon YouTube page. Yeah, it's just Don Lemon, but it's called the Lemon Nation, the Don Lemon Show. But his YouTube page, you could look him up with just his name, Don Lemon. So let's add this so y'all can see this. And I still haven't. Let's see. I'm gonna take myself off. Y'all can hear me, but I'm gonna take myself off just to make it bigger so y'all can see.
CPR, a series of life-saving techniques that can keep blood flowing to vital organs, but they did not perform it on Macklin Good.
Okay, analyst of videos 911 call, fire department records, and dispatch log conducted by NPR News and APM report raises questions about whether the federal agency that mortally wounded Renee Macklin Good did enough to try to save her life. It took more than 10 minutes after Macklin Good was shot by a federal immigration officer before someone gave her CPR. That was 10 minutes before they even tried CPR. Immigration and custom enforcement agents are trained in basic CPR, a series of life-saving techniques that can keep blood flowing to vital organs, but they did not perform it on Macklin Good after she was shot by ICE officer Jonathan Ross on January 7th.
As she was shot by ICE officer Jonathan Ross on January 7th. Also, what they did not do is let a physician who was on the scene go to try to render aid. This is what happened in real time. Watch.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by...
That's the commercial. I have to let that play.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
Hey, listen, we understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my fucking neighbor. You caught butter in the fucking face. You killed my fucking neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the fuck do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors. You're stealing my neighbors. What the fuck, man?
Hey, listen, strong language there, but you can imagine how upset people are and having just witnessed it and then not allowing someone to go over and render aid. I want to bring in Dr. Frida now. She's a triple board certified nephrologist and a medical expert in internal medicine, pediatrics, and obesity medicine. She does.
So then she's going to tell you the medical, she's a doctor. She's going to tell you the medical life-saving techniques. And so the statistics I was telling you about earlier about how you can, how the time lapsing decreases your chances of survival.
There's a live stream on her YouTube channel every Monday at noon Eastern time on trending medical topics in the headlines and celebrity health. Thank you for joining us, Doctor. I appreciate it. You can understand the sentiment there. Say again?
I said it was my pleasure to be here, but this sickens me. Yeah.
How so?
It is everyone's goal to preserve life, especially physicians. And so when I hear that physician saying, "Can I check a pulse?" I know that he fully understands that even for those of us who are in the medical field, we rely on bystanders to start CPR, to stop bleeding, because the majority of people who experience trauma die from bleeding out. And you can bleed out in 3 to 5 minutes, meaning you can literally bleed to death. But most of the times EMS, the ambulance, they don't get there for another 7 to 10 minutes. And so those first minutes are crucial. And so I know that the physician's heart must have just stopped when he heard that ICE agent say, "Oh, we've got people on the way." Because even if you're not a physician, it's important to go, assess a patient, see if they have a pulse, stop the bleeding, tie a tourniquet, administer CPR. Every minute counts, because in the case of cardiac arrest, for example, for every minute that a person goes without CPR, the mortality increases by 10%.
And then, as I previously read, they said that it was 10 minutes before the ICE agents even did CPR. And what I don't understand about this, the physician who said, okay, well, I'm a physician, let me at least check the pulse. And they said, well, we got somebody on the way. But they're not there right now. You have a physician standing in front of you right there talking to you that could go and administer help. If there was anything to, at least you could check. You haven't even checked.
So by 10 minutes, goodbye. And after 4 minutes of no CPR and without the proper brain flow, but blood flow to the brain, after 4 minutes, then brain cells die. And so those first minutes are absolutely critical and can be the difference between life and death. And so now to learn that Renee Good actually had a pulse 8 minutes after she was shot, that means that different factors could have been on her side. One, she's young, in her 30s, and it was cold, which would have slowed how fast her heart was beating, was pumping out blood. And it just lets us know as physicians that there's a possibility that she could have lived. And they denied her care. And they didn't administer care. Yeah.
You're not the only physician saying that. There was a physician I just want to show you, because she's saying similar things to what you're saying, doctor. And she was on with my friend Ali Belshi on MS Now. Watch.
Okay.
All of us physicians have been in situations where we've been on the street and on a plane, wherever, and a medical emergency has arisen. And it is our duty to render care. And so it is not unusual for physicians who are bystanders to help stabilize a situation until medics, until an ambulance, until EMTs and paramedics arrive. So to watch that again, I've seen that video so many times, Allie, and I think it only gets more horrifying, particularly now that we have the information that Renee Good was still alive. There is a chance that her life could have been saved, and the indifference to her life, the cruelty of those officers, it's mind-boggling to me.
What should they have done in that situation?
Well, they should have administered CPR themselves. But
and what about the physician that was there? Okay, yeah, go on. Sorry.
The physician who was there, if he's being told by people who are holding guns who just executed someone, if he's being told by them not to go near, then he has to preserve his own life, because he doesn't know if they're so out of control that they would have taken his life. I mean, it's not unreasonable for him to think that if they told him no, and if he defied them to go save her life, that would have been 2 lives gone, and that does no one any good. So ordinarily, I would say, oh, the physician should have gone in there anyway, but it was too heightened. But had they allowed the physician to go, then what he would have done was, like he said, he would have assessed for a pulse. And now that we know that Renee Good had a pulse 8 minutes after being shot, surely she had a pulse right after being shot. And so the first thing he would have done would have tried to see if she had an airway. And then he would have looked at where those gunshot wounds were. And it's my understanding that she had like a gunshot wound in the chest, some gunshot wounds to the chest and the arms. I'm not exactly sure how many, but he would have gotten some towels, some shirts, some jackets, and he would have held pressure. He would have applied pressure to stop the bleed. And if say she had a gunshot wound in the arm, he would have applied a tourniquet above where she was bleeding and tried to stop that blood from being lost. Because we only have 5 liters of blood, the average adult, and it doesn't take long for you to pump all of that blood out of wounds. Yeah. So he would have tried to stop her from bleeding. And also, if it had been indicated, if her airway had been compromised, he would have tried his best to figure that out, to see if he needed to actually, do CPR, if he needed to actually, give her breaths. But as a physician, he would have known ABCs: airway, breathing, circulation. It's like clockwork, Don. From the time we first go to medical school through residency, it's like clockwork. You go into a mode and you know what to do. in an immediate situation. And I can only imagine how that physician felt. And it's interesting for the young lady physician you just played. I had not heard what she said, but it sounds like what we said was almost identical.
Okay, y'all. So that's just the information that I wanted to bring to y'all. That is the update that it seems like it is being reported. It is being reported that Renee was still alive, that no one on the scene administered CPR until 10 minutes after the shooting, and then that 8 minutes after she still had a pulse. But there was a physician there and who said, let me check for a pulse. They refused to. But since there's not going to be an investigation, things like this came up, I want to say, doing multiple where multiple agents would have been investigated for not rendering care. So doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do an investigation. But that is the latest update, that she had a pulse 8 minutes afterwards, and that life-saving techniques, life-saving CPR, applying pressure, it was denied because by a physician, and the ICE agents didn't administer anything. So that's it for now, y'all. I'm also, make sure you subscribe to the page, because we're going to take a step back and we're going to talk about Nikki Owens versus Don Lemons. That's coming up, so stay tuned. We're going to talk about that soon. I'm finna get out of here. Thank y'all for subscribing to the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on all social media. Tootie Talk Sense. Y'all be safe out there. And like I say, wait, let me find it. So, oh, I get thinking of this. I have to talk about what's his name, Jake Lang. Did y'all see that? We gonna talk about that too. I got a couple subjects I want to talk about, but y'all stay tuned so y'all can get in these comments and be talking with me. Okay, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. I will catch y'all next time. Bye. And before I say bye, let me take that back. Let me send a condolences to Renee, again to the man who lost his life out in Stone Park, again to the young black man that died, ICE agent unalive. So it's getting rough out there, and I don't know how people are looking at this video and not. But hey, it's the same people who look at the other videos, who looked at the George Floyd, who looked at the Fidel Castro, who seen not Castro. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing his name, but who looked at him and seen him get unalived in front of his stepdaughter in the car. You would think that these same people, these all lives matter people, would be out here protesting, but no, it's still the Black Lives Matter people. So y'all try to stay safe out there. We're gonna be sending each other positive energy, because right now, we can monitor us. We can't control other people's behavior, but we can monitor us. So I'm gonna send positive energy to everybody out there, and y'all send it back to me, okay? We're gonna try to keep each other surrounded by love, okay? Love and positive energy to keep us safe up in here. So let me get out of here. Enjoy the rest of y'all night. Okay?